Hey, what's up everybody? Dane here from Moving to Canada. Right now we are in the beaches in Toronto. You can actually see the CN Tower there in the background, so we're not far from downtown. And today we are here to talk to you about how to immigrate to Toronto. And joining us to chat through that is the amazing Cassandra Foltz, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant.
Thank you, Dane.
Based here in Toronto, and you have a consultancy that's in the city, right?
Exactly right. My office is just over the hill that way. And we've been there for 7 years now, and I've been in the Canadian immigration field for the last 12 years.
Amazing. And that consultancy is called Doherty Foltz Immigration. And in today's video, we're going to be talking through 5 of the most popular options for immigrating to Toronto. We're not going to be going in a lot of detail about any of them. So if you do want more information, I recommend booking a consultation with Cassandra and her team at Doherty Foltz. I'll pop a link for more information right down there in the description. But enough of that. Let's jump into the options for immigrating to Toronto. Our first option that we're going to be talking through today is Express Entry. Express Entry is Canada's major federal system for selecting economic immigrants, and it's a bit big, it's a bit complex. So Cassandra, break it down for us. What can you tell our audience about Express Entry?
Sure. So Express Entry, of course, is the most popular way that people use to immigrate to Canada when they're not coming being sponsored by a family member. So there's 3 major streams in Express Entry. There's the federal skilled worker, there's the federal skilled trades, and then there's the Canadian experience class. So Canadian experience class is exactly what it sounds like. You need Canadian work experience to be eligible for that class. The federal skilled worker stream is basically for people who may have a mix of Canadian and foreign work experience or entirely foreign work experience, which is eligible. Federal skilled trades stream, it can also be either a mix of Canadian work experience and foreign work experience or entirely foreign work experience in a trade.
Right. And Express Entry, it's a bit of a complicated application process, and it's a bit of a complicated eligibility process as well. So to be eligible for Express Entry, first you have to meet the minimum criteria that you were just laying out for those programs, but then also you have to be selected. There's like a points system. Like, how does that work?
Exactly. So you have to receive an invitation to apply for permanent residence. Anyone can put a profile into the Express Entry pool, but you must receive an invitation to apply for permanent residence from the federal government, which is based on the information in your profile. And so the information that you put in your profile, like work experience, education, English or French language ability, and other things as well. So you receive points based on those factors. And the higher the number of points that you have, the more likely you are to receive an invitation to apply for PR.
Right, and it's highly competitive. It's a point system scored out of 1,200 points every 2 weeks or so. The Canadian government invites a bunch of people from the Express Entry pool, and they'll just put in a cutoff. They'll be like, everybody above 450 points gets an invitation, and you've just got to consult the historic list of draws to see how competitive you are. If you do receive that invitation, then you get the opportunity to submit a final application for Canadian permanent resident status. So it is quite complex, as you can tell. There's the minimum eligibility criteria for the program, there's the point system with the 1,200 points, and then there's all the documents that you need to apply. So if you think this could be a good option for you, click that link down there in the description, book a consultation with the Doherty Foltz team, and talk through Express Entry to see if that might be the right route for you. If not, we have 4 more great options for immigrating to Toronto. The next one we're talking through is the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, the OINP. This is a provincial nominee program operated by the province of Ontario. So provincial nominee programs are these almost like mini immigration programs Canada's provinces and territories use to select their own immigrants based on their own economic and demographic needs. So the OINP is the one used by the province of Ontario. Cassandra, the OINP I know is also a big program. There's like, it's not just one criteria, there's like a bunch of different streams in it. What can you tell our audience about the OINP?
Sure. So there are loads of different streams in the OINP, basically to allow the province of Ontario to pick and choose what it needs in terms of skill sets and education from immigrants. So there's one main division, and that is there's the express entry streams of OINP and the non-express entry streams of OINP. So for the express entry streams, essentially what happens is that you put your profile into the express entry pool, and then if you choose Ontario as your destination, then you may receive a notification of interest from the province of Ontario. So even if you don't get chosen, even if you don't receive an invitation to apply for PR under the federal program through Express Entry, you could receive the notification of interest from the province of Ontario.
And if you get that notification of interest, that allows you to submit your application to Ontario for provincial nomination. And if it was through one of these Express Entry aligned streams and it's successful, you get 600 points added to your CRS score, that 1,200 point score we were talking about before. This virtually guarantees that you will be invited to apply.
Like magic.
Yeah, it's really a great option if you are eligible for it. And again, like Cassandra mentioned, you have to indicate Ontario as one of your provinces, your intended provinces of destination in Canada. And you can actually just select all provinces when you create your Express Entry profile, and then you'll be considered for all of these provincial nominee programs. Outside of the Express Entry aligned streams, there are a few other streams of the OINP, some for like
yes. There's lots of them. Business people, but also master's degree holders, PhD holders, French speakers, francophones, like there's all different kinds of things. And so the great thing about OINP is that a lot of times if you don't have the points for one of the federal programs, there may be a niche that you can slide into in the OINP that you may not even know that you're eligible for. Yeah. That's the real beauty. So even if it doesn't work out for one of the federal programs, you may still be able to become a permanent resident through the OINP, even if you have NOC C or D work experience, which is not going to happen in one of the federal programs.
So we mentioned some streams for entrepreneurs, some streams for master's and PhD holders. I think the other important one is streams for people who have job offers from Ontario employers. And there's a few different streams for different types of job offers. But if you are a person who's being courted by an Ontario employer, just bear in mind that the OINP might be a good option for you. So let's talk about the third popular option for immigrating to Toronto. I like this one. It's fun, it's young, it's hip. This is study permit, so international students, and there's actually a great option for international students who study in Canada to then use that to immigrate permanently to Canada. So how does that work, and who is that a good option for, Cassandra?
So study permit is an excellent place to start. If you are just graduating from high school, from secondary school, and you're starting your university career, or even if you have already finished your bachelor's degree and you want to come for postgraduate studies, there's no wrong answer when it comes to study permits. A study permit is a brilliant place to get your foot in the door for ultimately Canadian permanent residence, if that's what you're interested in. There are so many colleges and universities in Toronto especially, but all across Ontario, with excellent programs which are postgraduate work permit eligible, which will allow you to work after you graduate, gaining eligible work experience, and then that will allow you to apply for permanent residence after that fact.
The fourth popular option for immigrating to Toronto is the International Experience Canada, which includes the very popular Working Holiday Program. Now, IEC, the Working Holiday Program, not everyone from every country is eligible. There are actually only 35 or 36 countries that are eligible. I'll pop a explainer link in the description if you want to see if your country's on the list. If you are eligible and you're within the age range for the program, it's for youth aged 18 to 30 or 18 to 35, depending on the country, then it can be an excellent option. So for people who are eligible, Cassandra, what is IEC, the Working Holiday Program? How does it work, and who is it best for?
So the Working Holiday Visa, everyone has heard of. This is how people come to Canada when they're young and unencumbered. So what you get is you get an open work permit. You can work for any employer in any position from between 6 months to 2 years based on the rules for your country. And so when you're here working, you can utilize the work permit to get work experience, which is then eligible for permanent residence.
Yeah, so if you plan it out, you can get that Canadian work experience that can make you eligible for something like the Canadian Experience class of Express Entry or one of the streams of the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. You might be able to use it to, get close to a Canadian employer who might offer you a more permanent job.
Or meet the love of your life, you never know.
Or meet the love of your life, which actually brings us really well to the fifth popular option for immigrating to Toronto, which is family sponsorship.
Family sponsorship. This is what happens when you meet the love of your life. They're a Canadian permanent resident or a Canadian citizen, and then you decide that you can't be without each other and you're going to continue living your lives happily ever after here in Canada.
So family sponsorship, it enables Canadian citizens and permanent residents to sponsor specific types of relatives to also become Canadian permanent residents. Only certain types of relations are eligible. So as Cassandra mentioned, your spouse, your common law partner, that's definitely eligible. You can sponsor those people. You can sponsor your dependent children. And in certain cases, you can sponsor parents and grandparents.
You can also sponsor parents and grandparents. The main thing to keep in mind is that if you're sponsoring a common law partner or a spouse, there's actually there's no financial requirement in terms of a dollar amount you need to make for your salary every year. Whereas if you're sponsoring parents and grandparents, then there is a very specific dollar amount that you need to make. There is no flexibility on this at all.
And with parents and grandparents, there's only a set number of applications they accept every year, and they usually do an intake through like a randomized lottery system. So just because you meet the requirements, you still might not be selected. Versus spouse and common law partners, if you meet the requirements, you can submit an application. There's no problem with that. The application will still be assessed, but you can submit it no matter what. So that does it for the 5 most popular options for immigrating to Toronto. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want more information about any of the immigration programs we talked about in today's video, the best thing you can do is book a consultation with Cassandra and the team at Doherty Fultz Immigration. You can do that by clicking the link right down there in the description of the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining me today, Cassandra.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
This is like a great first video. Gorgeous backdrop. We're gonna go take a little dip here after this video. And look, you guys, if you want more Canadian immigration content, make sure you like this video, tap that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.